And we, yes, exactly. And we're switching now to topic of, well, smart devices, which is, in my view, if you have a smartphone, you have lots of satellites around you meanwhile, yeah? Whether it's a glass or a watch or a fitness band or whatever. And Nico, from day one here in Germany, is deeply, deeply inside this kind of topic. So his day life routine is all about smart devices and so on. He, in the past, didn't really touch the healthcare sector. He, of course, let's say, overviewed it, but he was not deep into the topic until when I asked him to bridge his knowledge about wearables and smart devices and mobile devices into the healthcare sector, and he accepted my invitation. Yeah, he's a smart guy, and he's now performing for you the next 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Warm welcome from my side as well. As Mark said, I'm not that experienced yet with the thing, so it's my first time to Düsseldorf this morning, and I had some time and I was walking around here in the booth, and I actually saw really some crazy machines and gadgets like I've never seen in my life before. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I want to see them anytime that soon. But anyway, as Mark already said, my name is Nico Wohlgemuth. I'm the co-founder and managing director of the agency startup Day One. And in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'll be talking about how we will interact with medical apps on smart devices. As Mark already said, with smart devices, we mean smartphones, we mean wearables, and any kind of, or even like the crazy stickers I saw this morning that you can just stick onto your skin and they'll do some crazy stuff with you. Before I get into the topic, maybe just 2 words really quick from our side. We are focused on the mobile lifestyle of today's consumer because we simply believe in that the gadgets we're carrying around with us are the remotes of our daily lives. So they've become the #1 assistant we go to and we talk to when we have any needs, any information, or if we want to purchase any products. So in that mean, our team consists out of digital innovation consultants, out of user experience and interface design experts, and we're doing service design, as I already said, with a very strong mobile focus. I want to start this discussion today with you with one question. I'm not sure who of you has seen Spectre, the latest James Bond movie. Really, you don't have to be that shy, you can lift your hands, no problem. All right, okay. Not the best movie, I would say, but there's something really interesting at the beginning of Spectre. Is when Daniel Craig visits Q in his research department in the office, and they go through the Aston Martin and the new Omega watch, and they do something at the beginning where Q is injecting James Bond something, what they call smart blood. Maybe you know it from science fiction novels already, but what the smart blood actually does, it's taking the whole activity data from James Bond, meaning his whole physical data, sensoring where he is, what he's doing, and it sends it or transmits it in real time to Q's computer so they can actually check his physical status and see how they can help him if something is going on there. For everybody who's getting really excited now, to disappoint you, it probably won't be available until 2025 on the consumer market. So you'll have to wait for it a little bit. If so, I think like maybe Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are the only ones that are having it so far right now in their veins. But the good side is you can still be James Bond and you can do it right now because let's say the smart blood at the moment are those guys here, are the wearables. Like, is anybody wearing like a Fitbit or something here today? Minority. Somebody like a wearable, like a smartwatch, like Apple Watch or Samsung or anything like that? Here's a guy over there. And who brought a smartphone with him? All of you, obviously. So those guys here are actually doing a lot right now, because if we look at it, how the whole thing developed, we can definitely see that there's something going on, which started as a trend, is now going towards smart health. Like example, when the iPhone came out in 2008, like in terms of data, like location and time were the first kind of data points we really used to offer customized services, like knowing where we are with our smartphone, knowing what time it is, and more or less like offering customized services. And this whole thing over the time by collecting more and more data, went into something we called activity data, meaning we started tracking our steps. Like back in the days, it used to be something very, very uncool because like my grandpa and my grandma had it stuck to their belts and they were walking around and like the nurses were checking if they're actually doing enough exercises. So very uncool, but then companies like Withings came and they made it like a lifestyle gadget, like a fashionable gadget. And so the whole thing started where like with the self-quantification, people started tracking their steps, how many times they walk and whatever not. And so this actually continued into a lifestyle, meaning we are nowadays collecting more and more body data, which is something we do with wearables, with smartphones. And I think now also seeing, or what I've seen here before, we're on the bridge to something way bigger because there has been collected so many data. And the question is now, is why do I just keep that to myself? Why can I not exchange it with somebody? And so to talk with you about how we interact with medical apps, I think it's really interesting or important to know. What I think is that we're about to shift from lifestyle-only apps to smart health apps. Like even like the activity tracker on the Apple Watch or something, you might just think of a gadget. It's a health app. It's in the sector of preventive medicine. It's already a health app that delivers a lot of data, which is really, really interesting when we talk about smart health apps. So when you take a look at all those different applications that are out there and how we are interacting with those smart health apps, there's like 3 patterns I want to share with you today, which you will recognize in a lot of applications, and which are success factors if you or your company think about building like a medical app. First of all, it's data collection for all the sensors and the visualization of data. Like give people an easy access to the data they're collecting about their body. Second of all, it's gamification. Like we love to play, everybody loves to play, and this here is something like a gamification approach where you can set a challenge, you can achieve a challenge, you can share challenges with your friends. So this is something that is really important for the experience. And last but not least is automation. Like what people do nowadays is like we kind of still go online on our smartphones. If we're like interested in something, we're still taking out our smartphone, we're taking a look at stuff. And what we now see with wearables coming in the market is truly changing from this pull, doing something, changing the push. Like, and the push basically means like this here. Like, I'll let you know if something is not okay. It's not about going in and checking your physical data. It's the same approach how we treat our health nowadays. As long as I'm okay, I'm not going to the doctor. Only until it hurts, and if I can't walk or get out of bed in the morning, I'll go to the doctor and get it checked. And that's the same thing that goes for the wearables or for medical apps. It's about this passive monitoring, being with you, being your cue, being your assistant. And later on, if something is not okay, I'll let you know and I'll provide you with options how to solve the problem. There's tons of apps already out there. I just brought a couple to take these patterns into perspective and to like give it like kind of like a look and feel. So I want to start with Apple Activity and Health. Without getting into any deeper into it, Apple introduced the Activity app when they introduced the Apple Watch. So the Activity app on your smartphone is basically it's a data hub. So they collect data, and if you're really interested in what you did last week, you can go into your smartphone and you can check it there. The more interesting thing about the Activity app is the companion on the Apple Watch, meaning proactively, without asking, it'll give you the push notifications towards the day, give you a status, will encourage you to walk more or to eat less, depending on how many calories you already burned. So that's just kind of the way it really works, is the passive mode about informing you proactively and not making you go into it and check for it. And that Apple is really serious about it, and this is not just a lifestyle application, is when you can see the Apple Health app, which they launched at the same time. It's like, I don't want to go into details, and I'm sure all of you know what is behind it, but if you just take a look at the data they're collecting here, or they are able to collect, it's about nutrition, it's about reproductive health, it's about results, sleep, vitals. Apple even wants to know about your sexual activity if you want to share with them, but this is just one of the data fields that's in health as well. So you can truly see the shift where they go from a lifestyle app into a smart health app, where there's just so much more stuff than just like tracking your steps each day. Like a similar approach, like an app I'll be using, and I really like it, is Human. It's a startup from Amsterdam. I think they're out for a year now. And Human is basically tracking your mobility, meaning if you're walking, if you take a bus, if you ride a car, or whatever, they can distinct that and track that. And they will also send you like certain reminders towards the day to remind you to take a little break, to stand up and go out with a dog. And the funny thing about Human is that they are more precise with their information than Apple is, because this is really generic. It also always comes at the same time during the day. Human is more individual, and it will send you more individual tasks or opportunities what to deal with. When we come to gamification, I mean, I'm sure you've seen an Apple Watch, there's badges. So if you walk a lot, if you've taken the bike for the first time riding, with the Apple Watch, it'll give you a badge for riding your bike. Hurrah. But there's, on the other hand, is Argus, which has a much more, like a stronger focus towards gamification, meaning they're providing you in the interface with a diary, where they basically, you can go through and you can see what happened. They will set you new challenges that you can unlock, meaning you can get into the next level if you're performing really well. And on the other hand, there's also like a feature that you can set up challenges. Some of you might remind the Ice Bucket Challenge, which went rival public on Facebook like crazy. This year is kind of like a similar idea, to actually inviting your friends to individual health challenges, if you want to call it like that. So while this has been like still with a lifestyle indicator, there's like two apps I brought with me today that already having more sort of a trigger to actually being really into the smart health business. For once, it's called Alert. I'm not sure if you already know the app. So Alert provides a complication for the Apple Watch, which is something like a panic button, which sits here. So it means if you like, let's say you have diabetes and you feel like that your blood sugar is running low or high and you're about to fall off, you can press the button, and what it will do is it will automatically send your health information it's collecting to like friends, doctor, to the police, or even to an Uber car nearby if you're interested. I mean, I'm not joking, this is a feature that is about to release. This, if you feel like you have to go to the hospital, you could just call the Uber with one click and he'll come, he'll pick you up and he'll bring you to the hospital. So basically, this is the panic button for your wrist that you can always take with you, and anything is wrong, you can set up certain patterns that then will work and send the data to whoever you want to. On the other hand, there's Apple Watch. This is based on Apple's research kit, like the SDK they're providing you with setting up apps to do studies and testings. And Apple Watch is an app that will use all kinds of sensors from the iPhone or also from Apple Watch to kind of understand what is happening in your body when you're about to get a seizure. So whatever happens, and they will learn out of the behavior of your body when you get a seizure, and after some time they are able to basically inform you that you're about to have a seizure because your body is showing certain signals that it's about to happen, and you can solve it by taking a medicine or let people know about it. So I think this is a really, really cool thing. And what you can also see here when we talk about data visualization and stuff, it's really much about data, about visual information rather than just text information. So last but not least is Doctor on Demand. I've heard this morning they were talking about Clara, which was a startup based in Berlin. They're now in the States because it didn't really work out in Germany, but they're like also super successful now in the United States, where if you feel like you have some sort of skin irritation or whatever, you can just upload a picture of it and they'll give you a first feedback on it, what it might be or it could be. So it's not necessarily substituting your doctor's visit, but it's like a first sight of what it actually could be. And Doctor on Demand is one more step, so they're not just doing skin irritation. So whenever you feel like something is wrong, you have different categories like medical, pediatrics, pregnancy, or psychology, for example. And you can FaceTime with a doctor and talk with him over your phone about what it might be, what it could be. So basically it's a real time, on demand, whenever you need to doctor visit on your phone. So we started with Spectre and James Bond, and I'm going to close this session with James Bond. I think what you can truly see is the first signs is that we all become James Bond, or we can become James Bond if you want to. But I think the question that is really, really interesting is about when we all can become James Bond, like who will be our queue? Like, who will be the one that receives the data of the smart health apps, and who will be the one that is doing something with it? Will it be the insurance companies? Will it be like a startup that is about to disrupt the market and kill your older company? Or is it the future all-in lifetime providers, Apple and Google? And this is a question I think that is really interesting that I wanted to share with you. And I'm looking forward to discuss it with you now or later here in booth. Thank you very much.